we're starting off with a story which has been such a big story here in France in recent months. Mohamed Merah, the Toulouse gunman. What's the latest on him?
Well, this huge controversy has blown up over whether France's private TV channel TF1 should have broadcast the tapes that they got hold of police phone conversations with Merah while he was under siege in his house on the 22nd of March. Now, and there's some famous quotes come out of that, which have made lots of front-page headlines this morning. He said to them, "I love death like you love life," which is on the front page of Libération here. One of the many revelations into Merah's personality you can get from those tapes. He's very defiant in them. He says that he planned the whole killing scheme with absolute coldness from the very beginning. Comes across as very determined. He's certainly not a man who had been in any way trapped or manipulated by police, which is, of course, what some people, including his father, who tried to bring murder charges against the police, wanted to allege at the time. But should this then have been broadcast? The families of the victims and indeed the Interior Minister here in France are absolutely furious that it was, because they say that it was dreadful for the families of the victims to have to listen to this after everything they've already been through. But for Libération, for their editorial, there is a journalistic interest in broadcasting it. Why? Well, they essentially allege there was a kind of cover-up by the French intelligence services.
It certainly looked like it at the time. There were lots of people saying, we don't know what's going on.
Exactly. That happened, of course, in the middle of the French presidential election, when it could have been very embarrassing to the outgoing President Sarkozy if there had been any kind of immediate investigation into intelligence failures. So Libération says that investigation must happen now. These tapes that hear Merah talking about time that he spent in Pakistan, time that he was trained by Al-Qaeda, he says, of course, this is sort of the classic trajectory that we've been worrying about radicalised, westernised Muslims taking since at least the September the 11th attacks. There's an enormous amount of talking about it. So the fact that the French intelligence services managed to miss a French citizen who actually did go and do this is, of course, very embarrassing.
Yes, and of course lots of questions about transparency and potential for a trial by media. Perhaps a more independent inquiry would be more appropriate. Sticking with crime, something else that's been shocking people in France recently, nightclub shootings, some recent deaths in Lille, and people wondering where these guns are coming from. It is quite scary.
It is. 2 people were killed 10 days ago in Lille by the Kalashnikov, which is not the sort of weapon you would normally have circulating very freely on the French streets. So where exactly are all of these coming from? Le Parisien has done a bit of an investigation. Now, they reckon, at least, that the number of Kalashnikovs has been seized by police has gone up 44% this year on last year, which is a massive increase, being used especially in gangland crime and drug trafficking, especially in Marseille, which is notorious for that kind of crime anyway. But there have been a big increase in shootings and in these weapons being seized. What the police fear is that they're coming from Libya, where, of course, they're absolutely there's arms everywhere after the conflict that happened there just over a year ago. They reckon you can pick up a Kalashnikov in Libya for as little as €60, and the street price here is between 2,000 and 3,000. So there's quite clearly a profit to be made there.
So how are they getting into the country? You can't just hide it down your trousers or something. I mean,
well, the idea is they're going via Eastern Europe. Of course, the main smuggling route for Kalashnikov since the Balkan Wars in the 1990s has been from there, from Bosnia and Albania and so on through into Europe. And they reckon that at least that they're being sailed across the Mediterranean from Libya, but they haven't actually got any proof that traces exactly back where most of these arms are coming from.
Okay, interesting stuff. There's also some embarrassing news today for the President of Pakistan.
Yes, this is also, if you like, an arms trafficking story, or a story about arms trading, rather, but on a rather bigger scale. This is about an €842 billion submarine sale made by France to Pakistan in 1995. Libération says reckons they've got evidence that Zardari, now, of course, President of Pakistan, then married to the Finance Minister Benazir Bhutto, received in 1995 $10 million into a Swiss bank account, which they reckon was a commission paid by French politicians to get Pakistan to buy those submarines from France. Of course, the cancellation of those commissions has long been thought to be responsible for a bomb attack in Karachi in 2002 that killed 11 French engineers. So it's a complicated inquiry.
Yeah, some very controversial allegations coming out there in Libération. Thanks very much, Helena Casas. OK, well, we're going to take a very short break now here on Live from Paris, but do stay with us.